season were in a letter just your year overall?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard season. Obviously, there were up and downs. I think I can start a lot better than I have, and I think that's going to be a good focus for me because I think just having a good start and coming out of the gates hot is so important to build kind of for the rest of your season. But I think I grew in some areas. I think I got more chance this season, was able to hold on to pucks, built my confidence up more than I had last year, and defensively, I think I was continuing to grow there, continuing to play against some big names, and just continue to try to shut those guys down. I think it's a lot of fun, playing against the McDavids and the Matthews and trying to keep them off the board. So, I think for me it's just continuing to grow my two-way game, and I think I grew there. But big focus for me is just building more offensive production and in that point production.
Of those areas, is there one place that you're particularly proud of? Like when you look back and you'll say to yourself, like, that is the best thing that I did, or area that I grew in this year?
Yeah, I think I really like my two-way game where that's at right now, on both sides of the puck. I think I was, very responsible, in the D zone, in that area, and I think, I was happy with my offensive chances. I felt like I was holding on to pucks more this year, getting more shots on net, creating more opportunities, and obviously we were able to build, more chemistry, playing with the same line for a while with me, Cap, and Schwartzy, and able to, put some good goals on the board and get some good wins. So I was happy where my game was at in that point.
What is it about Capo's game that seemed to make you guys kind of go as a trio there, and kind of what he brought to the team when he came over in December? Yeah,
he's a great player. He's a great guy on and off the ice, and he's a lot of fun to play with. He's a smart guy, a smart player, holds on to pucks really well. He's great in the offensive zone, great off the rush, and I think we were able to, anticipate each other really well, him, me, and Schwartz, just knowing where each other want us to be. We had, great talk on the bench and, after games, building that chemistry, knowing when he has the puck in the corner, where he wants me, where Schwartzy is, and we were able to move really well, get open for each other really well, create off the rush. So there was a lot of chemistry there, and I really like playing with them.
With gaining Capo as a line mate, you also lost a roommate off the ice. What was that change like for you this year?
Yeah, that was sad, but I was happy for both guys. I was able to gain a new friend in Capo and new line mate. Obviously, had a blast playing with him this year, and obviously it was sad losing Borgie, but he went to New York and made an immediate impact, and was playing more, had more of a bigger role, and they loved him there, which was obvious. So I was super happy for both of them, and I thought it was a great kind of swap for both of them. Capo getting a new situation, a little bit of a fresh start, and Will going into the Big Apple and getting a little bit of a bigger role and playing more, and
Have you stayed in touch with Morgan at all?
Yeah, a little bit every here and there. We'll give each other a FaceTime and chat. Maybe we'll meet up in the summer at some point, but yeah.
Jared said that he's going to go home and watch the video that he does in the summer. Are you somebody who will listen to video as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a big part of, continuing to grow for me, especially on the offensive side. I think is watching video and seeing what other guys do, seeing where I can, shoot the puck more, seeing what I can do to create more space for myself to get those chances. So I think video's, one of the best things you can do in the off season, along with whatever else you do in the weight room, the ice, the on ice. But I think video is awesome. Watching the Stanley Cup, watching the best guys do it, and just learning from them.
Matty, this might be a bit above your pay grade, but when you look at what this team needs to do to become a playoff contender, a team that can make a playoff push like you guys were, what do you think it needs?
Yeah, like you said, in terms of players, that's above my pay grade, but I do believe that we have, a lot of the pieces right now in this room. I think for us as a team and what we've tried to build here in the last 20, 25 games was, more of an identity and more consistency. I truly did believe that we had the team to do it this year to get back to playoffs, and I think that was the main thing that we kind of came away with was, we need to have a distinct identity and come out of the gates right at the beginning of the year with that and build that from day one and not falter from that as much as we did. So I think that was, a big part of our struggle this year was not having that clear, distinct identity for everyone in the room to know and, that consistency night in and night out.
Kind of in that same vein, you've seen a number of players make their NHL debuts this year with Newman and Ottavine. How excited are you about the future and the direction of this team? You spoke yesterday at the season ticket holder breakfast about being in year 1 of 7 of your contract and excited for these next 6 years for you. How pumped are you for the direction of this team?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm excited because I think we got a lot of great players in that locker room, but I'm more excited because I love every single one of them. And that's how you build a winning team is you surround yourself with guys that you love and guys that you want to go to war with, and that's what we have in that locker room. We have a lot of great human beings who want to be the best, who are determined to be the best, and are willing to make sacrifices to get better every single day in and day out, in season and off season. So there's a lot of talk on what guys want to get better at, and that's great. There's room for a lot of improvement for all of us. So I'm excited to get back and get right to work, or after Worlds, go play a little bit more hockey, have some fun there, try to win a gold, and then get right back into the weight room, get back on the ice, and build my game. It's a fun time to do it in the off season.
What part of your game do you want to focus on in the off season? Then, when do you want to come into training camp and say, I've leveled this up in the off season?
I touched on my ability to create space for myself and create those chances by myself. I think that's a big spot where a lot of the best players in the league take that step, is they create a lot of chances for themselves with whether it's their skating, their deception, their shot, being able to get their shot off in different areas, getting it through traffic, getting it on net. So I think that's a big focus for me, just the mentality of getting more pucks on net, creating more chances, and how I'm going to do that, on ice, working with the skills coach, watching video, watching where other guys create their chances, watching where I created my chances and where I can create more chances. So I think there's a lot of video for me to watch, which is great, and there's going to be a lot of time spent on ice, and obviously a lot of time spent off ice in the weight room, because I think that's the other biggest spot that I can grow in is building that muscle, building more mass, and being able to hold guys off more in the corners and come out of it with a chance.
Maddie, not that you aren't still a young guy, but wearing the A this year, did you feel like that allowed you to take more ownership of that locker room and have a voice maybe that you haven't had in previous seasons and speak up a little bit more? How did you kind of treat the year in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, you got your older, more veteran captains, and then you obviously got me, who's a little bit of a younger guy, but in my third year. So I think, as the year went on, I think I took it upon myself to become more vocal throughout the room. But I think, it's also a lot of, one-on-one conversations, pulling guys aside, having, that tell of, maybe this guy's having a hard time, and let's talk to him. Let's see how we can make him better, and let's see, what ways we can get him to be playing his best hockey. And I think it's just having that awareness and, caring about your teammates, knowing, you care about your teammates, you get to know them as well as you can, and you get to see when someone's a little off. And that's a big part of it, as much as it is, being vocal in the locker room, being vocal on the bench. And I think, I grew in that area as well.
All right. Thank you, Maddie.
Yeah, thanks.
Here's a softball. What's your assessment on the season?
Obviously disappointing. This time of the year you want to be kind of getting everything tuned up to make a run in the playoffs. But I think there were some positive things we took from this year, which is those young guys kind of stepping up, Maddie and Ryder.
For you personally, a little bit different this year. I know you and I have talked about that, but just how did you kind of see it playing out for you? I mean, more assists this year than past seasons? Just kind of your own game.
Yeah, I mean, it was just tried to make the right play at all times, and sometimes it was more passing, I think, this year for me. I think back 2 years ago when I scored 40, I think I was just kind of shooting everything from everywhere, and some were going in, some weren't, right? So, I think, moving forward here, I need to get back to that a little bit more.
Was there a certain point of the season, Jerry, where you felt like maybe, say, after the trade deadline was the very beginning, where you found a blueprint where this thing was going to follow heading into the summer and early on this next season?
Yeah, I think after the trade deadline, we started to play a lot better. We were more consistent with our play, and we obviously beat some good teams too. So, I think that the consistency for us wasn't really there all year, and that's something that obviously needs to change.
Looking back on it now, the amount of games that Jordan, Yanni, and Vince missed throughout the year, I know you guys don't like to make excuses when that happens, but 3 pretty important pieces. How big was that to miss those guys when they were out, a lot of them at the same time together, and kind of how that played out through your season?
Yeah, obviously they were a big part of our team, and we started off really well. Obviously me, Ebbs, and Matty there at the beginning of the year, and even Ryder. Obviously we were playing with him too, and when he went down, we lost a big part of the team, and it just didn't. We obviously had to have other guys step up, and I think we did have that at moments, but consistently wise, it wasn't there.
The goal we're following, like you said, kind of an assist-heavy season. Was that weird for you at all?
No, just whatever I can do to contribute, and I feel like that's a big part of my job for this team is to create offensively, and there was times this year obviously when it just wasn't going in for me, but I just look to make a better pass or an easier play.
Hey Jared, you always pick a thing or two to work on over the summer. Any early thoughts or something you have to spend some time?
Well, I gotta clean the body up a little bit. I got a procedure I gotta do this summer, and just try to figure out kind of where it came from. Obviously I did a lot of weightlifting last summer, and I don't think that was the best thing for my body, and this summer I'm definitely going to spend a lot more time on the ice, a lot more skills sessions, and kind of just focus more on the on-ice stuff this year.
That being said, Jared, you were able to play all 82 for the first time in your career. Particularly if you're battling something, how were you able to persevere and get every game in?
Yeah, I just think, I didn't want to give up on the team. That was the main thing. Is I'm not that type of guy. So grinding through things. Everybody grinds through stuff, right? Obviously, we have a lot of guys who are banged up this year, and but no excuses. I'm just gonna come back, be healthy next year, and go from there.
What's the outlook on that for you? How long are you going to be down here? What do you get handled?
Yeah, Monday I think I'm going in, and then 6 weeks. I can't really do much, and then just kind of build my way back up. Yeah.
Jared, how do you bottle up the lessons from maybe the last 18? Dan kept pointing to those. How do you take that and now not lose it or turn it back on next year?
I think it's always good to watch video, especially as a young player. I know I talk to the young guys a lot about that, and just watching yourself. Not a lot of guys like to do that, but I truly find that it helps. And if we can come in with the mindset next year that we need to be consistent, if we have the consistent effort from everybody, then we're going to be a hard team beaten.
Are you willing to share what the issue is, the injury?
Not right now. Can't right now. Sorry.
What did you think of Shane's first full year? You played with him a good bunch at this point, kind of looking back on the year he had.
Really good. He had flashes of what he can be, and I think with Shane, he's just gotta kind of just relax sometimes, and I was the same way when I was younger, and I'm just gonna try to help him through it as much as I can. He's a great kid, and he works hard every single day, and he's gonna be a good player in this league for a long time.
It's one of those things where you got to realize what you got is enough at sometimes.
Yeah. I keep telling him, even not the best player in the world can play 82 games as to be perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about being perfect. It's just about kind of limiting your mistakes, and sometimes less is more, right? So sometimes playing with the puck and just chipping the puck in and going and working hard and getting it back is the best play, right? Good. Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Vince, how do you kind of look at your year, both individually and as a team? Just, I know you were battling through some stuff this year, and kind of how it played out for you.
Thought it was decent. I think no matter how good it goes personally, if you don't win enough and don't get into the playoffs, it's considered a failure. So that's how I kind of look at it mostly, and I think most of us probably feel the same way. So it's not a good feeling meeting with you guys on this day for the second season in a row. So it's disappointing for all of us, and can only really speak on that for myself. I don't really need to get into my my personal game, but yeah, it just sucks to not make the playoffs.
A few guys have talked about things have been a little better since the trade deadline. I was wondering if you could just kind of give your thoughts on why that is. What was the shift in your guys' game, do you think?
Well, I think there's just less questions in your mind, whether if it's am I getting a contract, am I staying, am I leaving. Maybe guys played a little bit more relaxed and more confident with knowing that this was their home until the season finished. So I think we played a lot better as a team, but by that time it's kind of too late, and I think we all realized that. And we can take the positives for what they were, but when you're kind of playing catch-up hockey by that time of the year, it's disappointing to see that we have enough of the pieces to make a push and to give ourselves a chance for a playoff fight. And we had a couple big wins in the second half there after the deadline, where we can probably look back and see that if only we could keep it together for a lot more of those games in the beginning of the year and not let points slide, then we'd be in a different position today.
Vince, what are a couple areas you look at in particular and say, like, you guys have to make strides here if you guys want to make the leaps you can next year?
Special teams, for sure. It's something that I've always been a part of, and I think a lot of the moments in the first half of the season we didn't come up and didn't create momentum, at least for other guys who don't get the opportunity to get out there. And I think when your special teams are clicking, you find ways to fight back in games when you get the chance on the power play. And you look at most of the best teams in the league, they all have elite power plays. It's working together and creating an identity that those are the guys that you put out, and you can trust that they're going to make the right plays and make highly offensive plays to hopefully score goals. But not only that, to put teams on their heels and to just create a good momentum moving forward on 5-on-5 if you don't score. So that's one area for me that I think we definitely need to take a stride in next season. I think the starts of our games have been very inconsistent. I think some games we come out flying and some games we come out flat, but mostly all the time we found ways to fight back and give ourselves a chance. But this league's way too good, and everyone knows that it's hard to play from behind so much. And I think just being a little bit more consistent throughout all three periods and not trying to run away with the game, but just taking it period by period and minute by minute and just taking it slow and not overcomplicating things for ourselves. I think when things were bad, we found a way to beat ourselves up a little bit too much, and we don't have to try to win the game the next shift when things don't go right, but as long as we can keep ourselves in the fight and give ourselves a chance to come out line after line, that gives ourselves a better chance to win more games.
Vince, you had to deal with some injuries this season. How are you feeling now, and just how was it to make it through this year with what you had to face?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I think I had all the help I needed to get back, and not that it was good timing, but it wasn't too hard for me to get back for when I got injured. So I think I came in at a good time to feel ready to play at my best, and tried to play my best every single night. I think we all deal with things going on all season long, so I can only speak for myself, but it's not a healthy league by any means. Everyone's dealing with things, so I wish I probably had a little bit better of a year. I think there's opportunities for me to have a little bit more finish in my game. I think guys put me in positions to score and didn't execute or create enough chances moving forward with the plays that were given to me. So it's kind of all I'll look at with my game. I think I defended pretty well. I matched some nights, didn't match the other nights. So as far as my game and my injuries and everything like that, I felt like it was decent, but I know my role on this team, and I know that decent isn't enough to win hockey games and be the staple in the back end that this team needs me to be. So not extremely disappointed in myself, but know that I have a little bit more to give and a little bit more to work on this summer, and really excited to come out and get off to the right start next season.
When you talk about having more finish in your game, how do you work on it in the off season?
I mean, that's a little difficult, right? Because it's hard to mimic things in practices, but I think in the summertime you really focus on just little things, maybe just getting more pucks through, working on getting shots off quicker, and it's not always going to be a goal, but hopefully get more pucks to the net, and in hopes that forwards can get sticks on them or bang in second chances, and sometimes goalies don't see the pucks coming and they go in. So I think my first instinct usually is to pass, and maybe I need to be a little bit more selfish in taking the shots that are there, but I take pride in my passing and putting in guys in good positions to score goals. So I know it's not always going to be a goal for the outcomes of my offensive plays, but as long as I can create an effective offensive chance for my team and create momentum in the offensive zone, that's mostly my goal every time I have the puck.
All right. Thanks, Nick.
All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Jordan, what do you make of this whole year, given the injury you had to deal with, coming back from it in the closing stretch of the season, and how you kind of performed from that? What it's kind of been like to miss that kind of time for the first time in your career?
Yeah, from a personal standpoint, obviously a whirlwind of a year. Obviously felt like I got off to a pretty good start and felt confident in the way that I was playing. And, you get hurt with an injury and you have to miss half the year and not be around. It's always hard. So, I was proud of the way that I battled back and got back into the lineup. And, but ultimately, you're not playing hockey this time of the year, regardless of, it comes down to just, you're pissed off. You play this game to play in the playoffs and you're not there. That's frustrating.
What'd you make of your stretch once you got back, and how you felt?
Like personally?
Did you feel like you ever got close to 100% coming back, or what'd you think of how you were able to handle it?
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I thought I, found my game quicker than I thought I was going to. Missing that much time probably took me a few games, but I really felt like I, got back in and was playing back to the speed I wanted to a lot quicker than I thought I was going to. So, that was a positive. I think the medical staff team here and the trainers, they did a heck of a job to, prepare me and get me going. So, I still feel like I have, a lot of gas and I want to play for a few more years and more importantly, I want to, have a chance to win.
Like riding a bicycle, basically.
Yeah, not quite, but yeah.
How's the body feeling now?
Throughout a 82-game skis, I only played half, but it's no one's healthy in this league. You're always playing with something. So, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I feel good enough that, like I said, I still want to play.
Jordan, 2 questions. One, before the season, we talked about how there's no book on how to be a captain, and you were going to be one for the first time. So now that you've had a season as a captain, was it what you expected? I know the injury played a part in that, but what was it like being a captain?
I think the biggest thing and that I tried to take once they named me captain was just to continue to be myself. I think the biggest thing, the worst thing you can do is probably try and change. I tried to, continue to be the lead by example, professional, in my preparation, the way that I work, the way that I care, and the belief that I have in this group, and hopefully that was contagious. So, I still believe that we have the pieces here to be in the playoffs and should be in the playoffs and contending. So,
I hope the guys still believe that, and I know they do. I think the way that we played the last month and a half hopefully shows that, we care and that we take pride and we want to get to that point. But as an individual, and it's never easy being captain and then not being around with the injury, and that was obviously a bit of a hurdle. But we have a lot of good leaders in that room outside of that have won cups, Monty and Schwartzy, and I think they did a good job taking the reins.
And the other question is, the kiddie corps are coming.
The what, sorry?
Kiddie corps, all the young
Okay,
prospects, maybe even more than in the past.
Yeah.
And as a veteran, what is your approach to mentoring, and do you feel like that's a part of your job as a veteran?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was once a kid in this league and had veterans I looked up to, and that showed me how to be a professional and how to be a pro. And as a leader and as an older guy, it's always your job to help those guys get along. I think at the end of the day, your organization is built through your prospects and the talent that you have coming up, and how we can make them feel comfortable and play at their best. It's going to help our team.
When you were taken away from the room because you literally could not come in here, how did you deal with that, where you were planning on being a leader and now you cannot be part of maintaining that?
Yeah, that's always hard when you're not in the locker room and you're not playing. You don't have skin in the game. That's a tough something I didn't expect. But like I said, we had some great guys on this team with some of the leaders and the older guys, and that stepped up in that situation.
Are you able to keep tabs isn't a fair term, but I know guys came and visited you, but are you keeping in touch with how they're feeling, the conversations, or do you have to stay removed?
No, I'm talking to them. I mean, technology these days, you can shoot a text. It's pretty easy. But it's, I'm speaking with them. I'm trying to do as best I can. But once again, when you don't have skin in the game, it's always tough. So, it's a learning process you go through. This is my 15th year, and I'm still learning and having situations I haven't had before like that. So, you learn from it and you move on.
Jordan, what does this team have to do better to get to where you want to be?
I mean, we got to do a lot better. That's what today's about, is trying to figure out, obviously it's a bit fresh in your mind, and sometimes it takes a week or two to digest, but, there's a lot of aspects, the detail part of our game and, the special teams. There's many aspects that we need to be better. There's many aspects that we got better at. But at the end of the day, we're not where we want to be, and I don't know if you can put your finger on one instance. I just think at the end of the day, we all need to be better.
What's this off season look like for you, and how different is it from maybe 10 years ago?
I mean, it's similar to what it would have been the last 5 years. I mean, you're not a young kid anymore, but at the same time, you try to work on your foot speed, you try to work on your quickness. The game has gotten exponentially faster in the last 5-6 years, and to maintain that speed and keep up, you have to work on your game. But like I said, I still have fire and passion and desire, and still want to play for years, and that motivation leads into work ethic.
Hey, Jordan, you came in the fall and said you felt like the best you've had in years. How will you get back to that this summer?
Yeah, I put an emphasis on skating last summer. I skated a lot more than I had in previous years. It seemed to be the trend in the league. So, coming into camp, that was one of the best I had felt, and got off to a good start. So, looking to do the exact same thing. We have a great group of guys I skate with back home, and guys that are very good in this league, and it's fun to be a part of that. So, look to do the same. Yep.
Thank you. Sweet hat, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
What's your assessment of your first season in Seattle?
We liked it. Myself, wife, the kids. I was only here a few times playing them, so everything was new. Everything went by so fast. Having not any summer last year, and then having to move here, check the surroundings, get settled in the new home. Baby girl, obviously Mason was born. Flew by. This seems like the fastest year, but Yeah, I mean, we enjoyed it, players, staff, we enjoyed being a part of it. Obviously, we'd still like to be playing, but, all in all, minus the playoffs, really good decision for me and my family.
What's the biggest thing that you've taken away from this season?
Playing-wise or?
Playing-wise, yeah.
Consistency, just as a group, I think, you could look back at, again, not making playoffs. There's obviously changes need to be made. But again, I think the last part of the half, maybe the first part, we were about 500, for the first 15, 20 games. And then obviously a little, maybe above around 500 at the end here. We found our game in spurts. Again, consistency, we needed to find it early, especially with a group like ours. We needed to fight for every game, and there's times where we weren't, times that we slipped, and games that, teams that we should beat that we didn't beat. And again, that just kind of grew out through a long season, and we couldn't get back to it. So things need to be changed. Obviously, playoffs, business-wise, things are going to change. That always happens with losing, and but I think we have a recipe that this group knows how to be successful and win, and everyone needs to come back, after a long summer and a good summer for everyone, in order to get where we need to go.
Brandon, you mentioned the short turnaround, and really you've had 3 years of very little time in between.
Yeah.
And so it isn't the silver lining you asked for that the season is over, but is there something that you could enjoy having a little time to get away?
Yeah, my wife says that. But no, yeah, you look at it, and for me personally and my body, I haven't had a summer of actually like training and in 3-4 years. A couple of years ago I had rehab, and that was a 7-8 month process. So that was huge. Last year, obviously, was 20 games into the season I started playing. Last summer, we had a focus of literally 4 weeks of not even, training-wise, but more maintenance and making sure I'm right for this year. So it's been a long couple of years, which is what we signed up for and what we want as players. I'd want to be back in that position again for the next, 10 years of playing here. So, yeah, to recover and be able to get back to a point where I want my body and the strengths is that, that I want to work on is definitely huge for me as, I get older and my body keeps feeling, better. And, yeah, again, it's only going to make me better as a player and help me, in the long run, having some time off and recovery and getting back to training how I want to train.
Coming from a Stanley Cup team to here, whether it's attitude, personnel, is there anything that jumps out at you in terms of what this team could use to get closer to that position next season?
Yeah, I mean, we're a lot younger. Guys got to grow into positions. And again, you can't really compare teams. When I was in Florida, we were in a winning, not necessarily we're not in a winning mentality here, but we were striving for Stanley Cups from the day that I got to Florida. The personnel we had, the elite caliber that we had, is only, I think, a matter of a time for us to kind of reach that. Here, I think we're in a different situation where we do have young guys trying to find roles, trying to find where they fit in, new guys, obviously new coaching staff. Everything was fairly new this year. So I think obviously we started off on a slow start of just really kind of knowing what we had as a group. So I think now guys are finding their way. And now it's time to make a step into that direction. I think we can do that. I believe that we have, the core group that can get into those positions, and it's about getting these experiences of being in close games and these rivals, and again, consistency. But we need to start winning hockey games, and that starts now with a long, tough summer for everyone to get right and be ready and be excited about next year.
Monty, you kind of joked in the preseason that you and Stevie had some pretty intense on-ice battles.
Hi.
You both came here. Now that you have a year under your belt, what's your relationship like, and what's it been like to play with him?
Yeah, obviously, his game speaks for itself. I played him enough. Heck of a player, but again, he's such an easy guy to get along with. Easygoing, always smiling, joking around, and for us coming into an organization together, it's kind of cool, and that we can grow together and help this team move along. But two guys obviously that have that experience obviously is huge, and Stevie, what he does on the ice again speaks for itself, but off the ice, his leadership and what he brings. Obviously he's more of a quiet guy, as you guys know, but his leadership and what people see off the ice is huge for this group as well.
Did you have to get through some good-natured chirping?
No, you know what? Again, Stevie's not much of a talker, so it was more probably battle just in his play, and probably me trying to get under his skin, and I don't think anybody can really get under his skin. So all obviously playoffs and all lines can get crossed, and heated exchanges, but I think that's probably from my point, trying to get after him more than him getting after me. So great dude. Happy that we're doing this together.
You were the fan favorite. Did you realize you
Yeah.
made that big of an impact? On
No, not really. I mean, again, I think you see jerseys in the stands, and to me just being a new guy, and I think maybe the personality and smiling, and but I just try to bring what I bring off the ice, on the ice every single day, and every time I'm out on the ice, I try to make a difference, and hopefully, winning that, fans can kind of see that, and something cool, obviously, that you can cherish from your first year is had success, and having the fans at least like me.
You mentioned the young guys, and you had a chance to play with them a little bit, but Riker's season from start to finish, where did you see him improve?
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm trying to think, just putting him in my shoes when I was a younger guy. Defense, I feel, is a tough position to learn and be comfortable with everything. But I mean, he does it so easy. He works so hard off the ice, in the gym, on the ice, in practices, his habits, his nutrition. They tell him to put weights. Like, I haven't seen a guy eat 6 to 8 eggs every morning consistently all season. So he does it right. His mentality, off the ice, he wants to get better. And again, that's how I was, and that's how I am. And so we have those comparisons playing with him. Obviously, we help each other. I'm trying to help him along as he goes. But again, he's a good player. He's such a talented player. He's going to keep growing, keep getting better, and happy with how his season's going. He's such a good skater, and when he uses his skating more, it's just trouble for the other teams. And as he keeps going, he's going to keep growing, keep getting better. But happy with how this, I guess, was his first full season, right? So happy where he's at.
Are you glad you vouched for your old pal Josh Mora?
Yeah. I mean, I think you guys liked him. The team, the players loved him. Hopefully they can figure something out up top, and I think that's obviously out of my control. But I'll keep vouching for him. He's my guy, and happy that we've crossed paths and been together for, obviously, this is 3 teams. So I'm along. I have a long couple of years here. Hopefully he gets a stick and does the same thing.
All good? Thanks, Monty.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the year.
Yep.
Kappa, what did you think of your, half season playing here in Seattle?
I felt good. Like, I was happy to come here. Kind of new chance, fresh start for me, and like that was the mindset coming here, and felt pretty good this whole time.
Did it help to have a couple Finns with you throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, especially Tolvi. Like, he helped me a lot. like all the things coming here. First time for me getting traded, so I didn't know anyone else than him. And yeah, he was helping a lot.
With your contract situation in RFA, how are you kind of expecting it to play out this summer? Have you thought much about it?
No, like I just been playing and thinking about the games, and those things gonna come during the summer, so haven't been thinking about it.
Capo, you got to play a lot more here, expanded role and everything. Did you learn anything about yourself, getting that extra ice time the half season you were here and getting a chance to play an expanded role and seeing what it kind of led to?
Yeah, I feel the confidence is the biggest thing. Like since I got here, I feel like I got more ice time, and they trust me here more. So and I felt better. I would say first couple games like was kind of hard and not the best start, but after that, like the Christmas break we had, and then after that, like I feel our line did pretty good job, and I felt pretty good out there, and then I was making plays and maybe things I didn't do before. So I think that's the confidence. What I got a little more because of those things, and then obviously more ice time helps also. So yeah, felt pretty good.
Aside from, I guess, what's obvious on the ice, how different is it playing in Seattle compared to New York? Very different markets.
Yeah, it's a little different. I mean, different city, but I think over here kind of more like Finland. I mean, New York is way different, but I like the time here. I like the city, and I think fans were great, and I like to play here, and I think that this is a good place for me.
Jaden Schwartz said that you guys it was really easy to read each other on the line. Would you agree with that? And I guess what were your thoughts playing with him?
Yeah, like I think it didn't take too much time to find the way we need to play, and I mean I feel like we played almost the whole time with Maddie and Schwartz, so that helps also a lot. Like I said, I kind of didn't know anyone when I got here, and new team and new players. So, but I think since the first game we played together, we made some plays and like find each other. So, like I think it was pretty easy to play with those guys.
Capo, you mentioned the word trust. How important is it for a hockey player to feel like he has the coaches, the front offices trust, and how much does it hurt if you feel you don't have that?
I think it's a big thing. Like, I really feel like I got a chance here, and like I said, like more ice time and all those things. I think it helps a lot. Like I said, the confidence is a pretty big thing, and I feel like there was some games like earlier this season, like over there, and even seasons before, like I kind of didn't feel that good. But over here, like I think every game we got a good chance and get a lot of ice time, so felt pretty good.
Does it free you up? Like not worrying about making one mistake and having something happen out of it, having the ability to kind of be a little bit more loose and kind of go with things as they come to you?
Yeah, that was something also they told me, like it's gonna happen at some point, but you still gotta try to make plays, and I felt like that's something I didn't do too much before I got here. Like I was kind of, I don't know, scared, but I just didn't try to make plays, and that's maybe something I didn't have that many points or goals, like before. So I feel like that's what our line tried to make all the time, like every game. And I mean, there was some games like didn't go well, but I think overall was a good thing. We tried to make those, and I think we got a couple goals because of that.
What does your summer look like from here?
No plans yet. Just go back to Finland, and it's gonna be a long one. It's kind of like lately I've been playing playoffs, and it's not been like that. So, but also like good chance to get better and maybe skating a little more than I've been skating before. So, yeah.
Capo, how do you feel about Maddie as your sentiment for the long-term future?
Yeah, I mean he's a great player, easy to play with. I'm happy I played with him like all these games over here, and I think we got better every game. I mean, like I said, just easy to play with him, and yeah.
Do you think Johnny Newman is ready for the big show?
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a good job when he played here. Like got a couple goals and like I said, good job. I think big summer for him also, like still getting a little faster, and I think he's a smart guy and he's gonna work hard and yeah, hopefully ready after the summer.
Kaka, what do you think about playing for Dan Biles? Chandler Stevenson mentioned that he thought it was important he was a human being before a coach. Do you feel the same way?
I feel the same way. Like he was talking with me a lot when I got here, like helping out, and I like the coaches like that, so I think it's a big deal.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Gene, just looking back on it, what do you kind of make of this season and kind of how it went? Obviously, you missed guys there for a large chunk of the season, Jordan, Yanni, Vince, and so forth, and weren't able to get where you wanted to go. But what do you kind of make of this year as a whole?
Well, we're not in a position we want to be, so obviously not too happy with that. Inconsistent at times. Our game looked pretty good at times, and then inconsistent at times. So it's frustrating not being in a better position. Obviously, I think we have the players and the team to be fighting for a playoff spot and in a better position. So that part's frustrating. It's a big off season for us. We need to take a step next year, and we all know that. So collectively, individually, top to bottom, we got to be better, and obviously it's an important off season for us.
The consistent message we've heard lately is that you guys have been, in general, happier with the way you've played, or just more close to the game you're looking for since the trade deadline. Do you have any idea why that is? Like, what shifted after the trade deadline?
No, I think we did a good job of finishing the season. We played hard for each other. Yeah, I don't know what our record was. I think it was above 500, but we looked better collectively as a team. Had some good spurts. We had a couple back-to-backs where those games didn't look good. Obviously, our back-to-back record wasn't very good this year at all, to put lightly. So we need to be better in that spot, because if we have better back-to-backs, we're in a lot different position than we are right now.
How's your body feeling now? I mean, past years obviously you've been dealing with a lot of stuff. Feel better after this one?
Yeah, I mean, I missed one game, so that's nice. Everyone has little injuries during the year, but for the most part body felt pretty good and was healthy, which was nice.
Obviously, that's the most goals you've scored here in your career. What do you make of the year personally for you and the point production and being able to do that at this stage of your career and individually?
Yeah, you want to contribute, right? You want to contribute offensively, and when you're being put in positions to, you want to, your job's to do that. So, with saying that, we're not, like I said, we're not where we want to be. So, that part's frustrating. It'll be another big off season for me, just like everyone else, and I want to come in next year and, keep improving and keep getting better.
You mentioned the back-to-backs. Why do you think you guys struggled on back-to-backs the way you did?
I think it's tough to pinpoint, put it on one thing. I don't have an exact answer. Obviously, it's unacceptable to have that record. Obviously, some late nights, but everyone goes through that during the season. So we got to find a way to be better there, and structurally as a team and individually, we got to be, improve on that and go over it next season. Obviously.
Jordan also mentioned that you guys feel like you have the pieces and the right mix to be in playoffs, and that you should be. I think MccAnn also said the same thing. So, falling short, would you attribute that to more youth, or is there something else that stood out that kind of kept you guys from reaching your potential?
Yeah, I mean, there's different reasons. Obviously, we like a lot of our pieces here. We believe in a lot of these guys, and we've done it at times, and we've showed it. But we got to be more consistent, hold each other to a higher standard. You got to be sharp, every day in this league. It's a long season, but we can't go 2 weeks without finding our game and playing the way we need to. And then when you get behind, you're chasing and it's hard. So we got to obviously have a good start, and we do like the pieces. We got to be, like I said, better in a lot of different areas though.
Kraken, you spent the past roughly 4 months on the line with Kakko and Beniers. What do you see in Kakko's game?
Both are great players. Thought we read off each other well. Capo's obviously got good size, very skilled player. Makes a lot of little plays, sees the ice well, and he works hard and defensively as well. So he's a really fun guy to play with, and I think Maddie's game's obviously taking a big step, and same thing with him. He works extremely hard, very skilled offensively, but to me, he takes pride in a lot of little things, and they're always, young guys are always looking for different ways to improve and get better.
Chandler, Monty had some good things to say about playing with you this year. What did you think about sharing the ice with him after some tough battles in the playoffs in years past?
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that you like being on the same team as. He gets under your skin and just kind of always barking, and that's his style. But obviously, being on this side with him is a lot more enjoyable, and just from an aspect of him as a player, how much he contributes and moves around the ice, and he just said it before that he's just like a horse out there. He just kind of seems like he never gets tired, and he's always, if you're in a tough spot, he's always there to help you out and just create offense. And I think it's going to be a good player for us here going forward, and he's, like I said, a guy that you want on your side.
Personally, what did you think about your first year living in Seattle, just getting acclimated and learning about the city and the fan base?
Good, really good. I think having a summer here to know what to expect coming into next year, and it was just kind of, everything seemed like a first this year, with all the things that you just mentioned. So now knowing what to expect, knowing just kind of how everything works, and everything, I think, just be that much more comfortable next year. I think that having a summer to reflect and just think about everything that happened this year and what went on, it'll be good, and it'll be a good thing for next year.
How do you feel your role this year compared to what it was in Vegas?
How do I feel?
Like your role on the team, basically your, kind of your usage and all that stuff, compared to what it was in Vegas. Were you put in a lot of the same spots? Do you think it was different? Or?
Yeah, I think a lot of similarities there. It's crazy thinking that I'm one of the older guys now. It goes so quick. Even this year, how quick it went by. My youngest daughter just turned 1, and it felt like she's a couple months old. So, it was kind of a blur this year. But as far as playing and everything went from that standpoint, it was fairly similar, I would say. It just different situation, different kind of everything as well. So, I think I'm repeating myself, but I think just it's going to be good to just kind of reflect and know what to expect coming into next year, and just have that comfortability and experience, I guess. And I think it'll be a good season next year for sure.
What were your impressions playing for Coach Dan Bylsma?
sorry.
Your first impressions playing for Coach Bilesma this year?
Good. I mean, he's coached a lot. He's been around for a long time, and it's nice to have a coach that is a human being first and not a coach first. I think that's something that he is really good at. Obviously, there's a fine line between those two, but I think that's a big thing, especially for a younger team, to have a coach that kind of gets it and understands that a back-to-back is hard, or certain games might not go your way, but the effort or whatever's there, it's not always we lost, so we suck and back to the drawing board and all that. But yeah, it was definitely good, I think, in that sense. And yeah, like I said, he's done it a lot, had a lot of success with Coachella, and yeah, I think going forward here, just first year under his belt for him, so obviously there'll be things that he'll be doing differently next year, and things that stick in the same that worked well. And I think that kind of from the trade deadline on, that's kind of the hockey that we want to play, and just kind of build off that for next year.
Obviously, there's a ton that goes into winning a championship, but having done it, if you had the top 3 things you'd want to add for next year, be it systematically or player-wise, what would you like to see this team go into next season with?
I think, like I just said, we kind of knew how we needed to play after the trade deadline, and what gave us success. I think trusting ourselves a bit more. There's times where feels not stressful, but a little chaotic at times when we can make plays. I mean, there's a lot of good players on this team that can make plays. I think it's just getting comfortable, getting that experience, getting those games that really help with that. And I think just kind of time. I know that this was Raiders' full season, so a guy like him having a full year to kind of look back at and, okay, that's what it's like. And, those guys are just going to grow. Same with Reichs. I know he's been here for a year and a half or so. So just time kind of with young guys like that are coming in, just the grind and what it takes to kind of play a full season, and then you got playoffs on top of that. So I think that's a big thing, is just kind of getting the reps, getting the familiarity with all that. And yeah, there's a lot of good from this year. I mean, it went so quick that it's kind of the good and the bad and everything between kind of blends together. But yeah, I think next year will be a whole different feel and vibe, and just how guys feel, and kind of that expectation for what they expect from themselves.
You mentioned being one of the older guys. You're not one of the older guys to me, but maybe in the room you are. One of the reasons Ron Francis wanted you here was because 2 of the other centers are 21 and 22 years old, and next year you may have another center in the room who's younger than that. So do you consider that part of your role, is mentoring, or whatever word you want to call it, helping to guide people who haven't played the position nearly as long in the league as you have?
Yeah, I think, with Maddie and Ryder, what they've done, and the type of players that they are kind of speaks for itself. There is obviously a little bit of experience just being around a little bit longer that you can kind of pass on with being vocal about it, or whether it's just kind of leading by example. And yeah, I think there's obviously things this year that, whether I've said it or they've asked, it's been something that going forward, I think that they'll just maybe have their own way of doing it. That's kind of how what I've done over the years is there's things that I'll take that I've been told or things that I'll see that that's kind of what I use now or do now. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I'm more kind of a just lead by example than being vocal. And yeah, there's obviously a lot of potential with those two and Burke coming in. So yeah, it's I think there's a lot to look forward to. There's going to be a lot of excitement, you know, watching the games with those guys in it. And just as time goes on, that's kind of, you see guys that get rushed, and that's not really the answer, and some guys that are ready right away. So I think just the more experience, the more games and reps and everything, like I've said, you get, the more confidence you feel, especially going against other top lines that, you know, you're kind of shell-shocked that it's a guy you've watched your whole life and now you're taking a face-off against them. So those things are pretty cool when you're growing up and, you know, coming into the league. And then you kind of get to a point where, you know, you feel good against those guys and you're kind of pinching yourself that, you know, this is pretty cool to experience this. So yeah, it's going to be good, you know, with those two and Burke coming in here.
Are you going to be okay if they call you Pops?
yeah, I'll be okay with that because I've done that before with some older guys as well. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Mikey, how would you kind of sum up your time here since coming over from Tampa, the rest of the season?
Yeah, 20 games. It went by really quick. I mean, that's almost a fourth of a season. And, you know, I'm thinking about it last night in bed, just really going to miss it, my time here. We spent a lot of time on the road, actually, and got to know a lot of the guys really well here and the staff, and just really thoroughly enjoyed my time here. And, you know, felt like I found a part of my game that I hadn't quite found yet this season, and that's my goal every year, is to elevate my game to a point where I'm playing the best hockey I've ever played, and I think I got to that point here.
Is part of that elevation scoring in Michigan?
I'm really pretty happy that I attempted it. Obviously, it didn't go in and we lost the game, but you know, just something I've worked on quite a bit in practice and like in a more of a serious manner instead of just for fun. So I was pretty happy with the attempt, but it's too bad it didn't go in.
How close was it, you think?
It just felt like there was a defenseman's stick coming down on me, and I kind of had to get it in tight. There was room, but yeah, just I mean, there was room. I just didn't hit the post. Yeah.
Is this somewhere, if they came back to you and said, you know, we'd like to bring you back next year, is this somewhere you would like to come back to, given the experience here?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time here, and I'm going to miss it this summer. You know, the boys have been so great. So yeah, it's a great organization.
How much worry is there when you get traded and you go to a place and with players you're not as familiar with? What was it like before, after you found out you were traded, and then, you know, once you were actually here?
You know, change is always exciting. So you know, the first thing you feel is a kind of excitement, and yeah, it's you know, trying to find your way in the league. I feel like I've established myself. You know, not many players are, you know, asking me who the F are you anymore. So guys kind of known around the league a little bit now and feel like you know, I'm an NHL player, and so, you know, getting to know new guys and new faces, it's tiring, and it takes a lot out of you, but once you settle in, it's been amazing.
Have you asked anyone else who the F they are?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Having played for two different teams, how does your game change? Does your game change at all? Where do you feel that you've made the biggest improvement this season, given all of the things that happened?
Yeah, I felt like once I coming to the new team, I felt right away in that Nashville game that I felt like my wings were unclipped a bit, and I was able to kind of be me a little bit more, and I can't say enough about the guys here really putting me in a spot where I can be comfortable off the ice, and that helps me a lot on the ice too. So I feel like I was able to play with a lot more speed and with my line mates here, and play with a lot more confidence and moxie.
Hey, Mikey, when you came, you mentioned you had some offensive side to your game that you'd like to show, and specifically with Ty, how did that work out for you?
Yeah, I think these line mates were really willing to do what they needed to do to help me perform offensively. We would have liked to have more points, more playing time, everything else that a player would want, but with what we had, I think that we were able to create a lot more, and I don't look at analytics or anything like that, but I'm sure that we were doing pretty well in that.
Mikey, you didn't know this team much, obviously playing in the East before, but everyone we've talked to today said since you joined the team, that chunk of games, everyone was playing the way they want to play. So how would you describe what this team is about when they're playing successfully? Yeah,
I didn't see him too often, but I had seen him enough times to know that when you're playing against the Kraken, you're playing against a team that moves the puck extremely well. It's not always tape to tape, but they're getting pucks to each other and not turning them over as much as other places I played. So this is a team that when you come here, I was a little bit surprised at that we weren't in the playoffs yet. Still kind of making that push because I think they definitely underachieved for how good they are, and I think if you ask any guy on another team, they get up for these games against the Kraken because they know they don't have a choice or they'll get beat.
All right.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Yep. Thank you. Thanks for everything, guys. Appreciate it.
Shane, how happy are you with just how your season went after that early stretch of games where it seemed like you needed to maybe figure it out a little bit?
Yeah, I think proud of myself for how I respond to that, and and proud of myself for how much I grew, how much I learned throughout this year. And sticking with it, and just really enjoying the process, enjoying being an NHL player, and really happy with my year personally and how it went overall for me.
Chandler talked a little bit earlier about sort of mentoring some of the younger centermen, you, Maddie, and then Berkeley coming up. What did you learn from him throughout the course of this year?
Yeah, I mean he's a great guy to learn from. He's won a couple of Stanley Cups, so he knows what it's like to play at the high level like that, and to be in the playoffs, and to have be on those winning teams and those winning cultures. So he's a really good guy to learn from, and a great guy around the room too.
Shane, maybe it's silly, but what was it like to be on one team for the whole year, given the last few for you?
It was nice for sure. It was nice kind of having a little bit of stability, knowing where I'm going to be and where I'm going to play, and the coaching staff I'm with and the group of guys I'm around every day. It's definitely nice having a little bit more stability this year.
And what did that do for you, do you think, to help kind of let you settle into a full group of the season and get comfortable with the ebb and flow of the NHL schedule and all that?
Yeah, exactly that. I think just getting comfortable with being an NHL player, being a pro here, trying to adjust to that and on a day-to-day basis, and what life is like as an NHL player. So just being or having that stability made it a little easier for that adjustment.
When you look at your future and getting better, do you set specific goals next year? I want to be a 30-goal, 70-point guy, or is it more of the incremental small steps to be that player? Where do you see your goal setting for next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're always trying to set goals for yourself. Always have expectations for yourself. I always try to have high expectations for my game and how I want to play and how I want to produce. So I wouldn't say there's exact numbers for next year, but I think just keep getting better every day and improve as much as I can and see let the result kind of take care of itself.
What was it like playing for Dan and Jess, both at the AHL level and now you're at the NHL level for 2 straight years?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I think just having that comfortability with those coaches that I've worked with in the past, understand what they expect from me, and understand kind of how they coach and the way they coach and the way they get their message across. It's really nice, kind of having that stability and comfortability with them, and the fact that I knew them from the past year.
Shane, do you have anything specific that you're going to work on in the off season?
I think just overall for me, just a big one is just kind of handling the puck and transporting the puck to the neutral zone, and just having the puck in my stick a little more, and playing with that confidence, playing with that little bit of swagger. Just holding on to it a little more. Not kind of deferring to anyone else, not trying to give it up as fast. Just take it for myself, hold on for myself, and be a little more selfish with the puck.
You almost got to 20 goals for the season too. Like, to kind of know that your shot plays at this level, what can that kind of do for you? Kind of seeing as many as you had going.
Yeah, it definitely gives me a lot of confidence. Shows that I need to shoot the puck a little bit more. Shooting percentage was a little too high. I got to put a few more pucks on net, but it definitely gives me a lot of confidence that I can score goals. I can get pucks past goalies at this level, and just need to get a few more opportunities on net there. But
yeah.
Sweet.
Thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
Enjoy your summer.
Thanks, guys.
Go.
Well, Josh, how was your time here in Seattle? You seem to be a package deal with Brandon Montour.
Yeah, I guess so. Obviously really enjoyed my time here. Me and my family coming into here, we, kind of just got used to it pretty quick, enjoyed the outdoors and the nature side of it with our dogs and stuff. But, overall it's been nothing but positive things for us here.
If there's mutual interest, would you want to stay longer?
Yeah, for sure. I think, that's obviously some talks that we'll obviously have to have coming over the next little bit. But, like I said, I've loved being here, loved being a part of this organization, and, everybody that is involved in it, the fans, the people here and everything. So, it's definitely, something that, like I said, have some talks here and stuff, but I've loved being here.
Josh, you've been around a team that has won a championship, obviously been part of that. What would you say are some steps this organization should take over the offseason, maybe even into next season?
Yeah, I think, when you look at the team we had this year and with everything involved, we're really not that far off. It's a few things, but I think there's a lot to be excited about. Young players, Maddie, Shane, Riker, Ty, all taking big steps this year, and to being a big part of this organization's future. So everything's going in the right direction, and some things just take I guess a little bit more time than everyone would like, but that's just a part of it. But it's a great group of guys here, great staff, coaches, and everyone from top to bottom. So I think once you just start building that culture, like it has been here before I got here and into this year, I think things just start kind of falling into place. So it's a lot to look forward to here.
A lot of guys do talk about it's great to have you in the room and you are part of building that culture. Is that something you work on intentionally, or you're just being yourself and that's what shines through?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's something that I really work on too much. I feel very fortunate every day to be able to come to the rink and do this for a living. So, I have a tough time having a bad day when I'm here.
You've also shown versatility in your game, both sides, different situations. How important is that to you to show who you are as a player with that?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's, for the position I am in and the role I played here, it was important, to be able to do that. I've done it before in my career anyways, so it was something I've always felt comfortable with, and just be able to show different sides of your game, and like you kind of just said, the aspect of being able to play the left and right side was pretty important for me.
Hey Josh, if you were evaluating your own season, how would you see it?
Yeah, I thought it was progressed better as the year went on. I think at the beginning of the year you coming to a new team, a new organization, and takes a little bit to get your feet under you. But as things got going, I felt pretty good, and like I said, I just felt like I got better throughout the year, and like I said, it was a couple learning experiences for me this year as well, like I think any year, but I think a lot to be proud of as well.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Josh.
See you guys.
Phil, obviously, maybe not the season you wanted. As you reflect now, what are your feelings going into the summer?
Yeah, not the season we all wanted to have. Obviously, we wanted to be in the playoffs. A little far away from that. Personally, take this off season, train hard, and come back even stronger. Wasn't the easiest season for me personally as well, but I felt like once I got into a rhythm down there in Coachella, found my game there and got to play a little bit more consistent.
A lot of the guys would talk when you were in net that it was important to get a win for you and play well for you. They bore the responsibility for your experience this year. What does that mean to you to see your teammates rally?
Yeah, I mean that's great to hear, but obviously like we're a team, so we need to do the same thing every single night. I know that means a lot to me by them saying that, and but we win and lose as a team. So
A lot of the folks down in Coachella Valley said when you were there, you handled that really well, or as well as you probably could have. What was your attitude down there in terms of what you were trying to accomplish during that time?
nothing. I was just like happy to be down there and like find my game and play some minutes. And coaching staff was unbelievable. Communicating, letting me know what's going on. The guys are unbelievable. It was definitely weird going down there. Like you're sitting on the plane and you don't know if your career up here is going to be over or not. So it was definitely, yeah, a little weird going down there. But once you're down there and like you put your gear back on, you gotta go to work and make the best out of it. Right? You can't control it. You can only control the output on the ice, like your work ethic and your attitude. And that's what I was trying to do, and help the guys, help Coco a little bit with some stuff, questions. And things he had, and it was awesome to meet some guys and play with them, and it was absolutely amazing.
The St. Louis game, playing goal is hard enough when you're feeling at your best, and from what we heard, you weren't. You were still recovering, so how do you deal with that?
Yeah, a couple rough days. I think I lost almost 15 pounds in those 5 days, so I wasn't feeling the best. But obviously, some days you got to grind it out, and that was one of those days. And yeah, over the course of 82 games, like you're not going to feel your best physically sometimes. So yeah, it was definitely not easy, but got it done.
Phil, you've obviously had the high ceiling in your play before, and you're certainly not the only guy who's had to go to an AHL to try to find things and stuff. What's it like for you now, confidence-wise, thinking that you can get back to the guy you believe you are and being the goaltender you believe you can be?
I mean, this whole year has nothing to do with confidence, and I was lacking confidence early in the year. Now I'm like obviously more confident before, and like, oh, I can stop the puck. Now I think it's more like finding like the playing time and seeing those situations out there. It's you look through, we always talk about the first game of preseason, right? Like, oh, it's always scrambly, or like first regular season game, oh, it's like so scrambly. That's what it is. Like you sit on the bench for 2-3 weeks, and it's basically you're coming out of preseason again. Like I feel like, right? So it's just like getting into the rhythm and like playing like consistently. I think that was the biggest issue.
All right.
Good. Yep.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it.
What's 1-1 now?
Settle the quarter.
Last I saw a couple minutes ago. Oh, they got it in the bag. They're not going to give up 3 goals in 4 minutes.
Joey, before we start, all right, we all had a colleague, Andy Ide.
Okay, yeah.
Who you got to know a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's some people here really close to him. I sat next to him in the press box. We lost him in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
But one of Andy's favorite things to do, which he did a lot, whether it was NHL, Western Hockey League, whatever, was tell stories and little anecdotes about what a player said.
Okay.
Like Zellweger once from Everett was so excited to tell Andy that he gained some weight in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy's like, "Here, where'd you gain weight?" And he had his shorts, pulled them down, not his shorts, but he pulled down his leggings and said, "It's in my thighs, in my thighs." So he had a range of stories, and we wanted to have some, Darren Brown in particular, and John from Sound of Hockey. They really wanted to give an award to a player who allows us to go out and tell those stories and do the anecdotes, because we want fans to know a lot about you guys. So you are the first annual winner.
Wow.
Of the Andy-Eyed Stick Taps Award.
Oh, very cool.
And I'm trying to pull this out without, there you go.
Wow, that's awesome.
Did I miss anything? Anybody want to say something?
Wow.
Most enjoyable to work with.
From you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, this is very cool. I feel very honored. Andy was, I didn't get to know him super well, but he was always an awesome guy and great person to have around for us. So this is very special. Means a lot to me, and thanks to all of you guys for being awesome to work with as well. It's a pleasure to work with you guys every day.
Total props goes to Darren Brown, too, because he actually couldn't, he's on the call, he couldn't.
Should we take a photo? Let's take a photo, me and you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need me.
Drop the box and let's take a photo. Who's taking it? Right here?
Someone's got it.
One more. Very nice.
Awesome. Thank you very much,
I also
Bob.
noticed
Appreciate it.
there's a screw on here, so you can put a live mic on there if you want.
Perfect.
All right, we got the box for you, too, Joe.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, to transition from that, I guess, what are you thinking about the season as a whole? What kind of sticks in your mind about your guys' season collectively and yourself personally?
Yeah, obviously disappointment. Not making the playoffs is obviously, it's tough. We all want to be in the playoffs. We all want to be fighting for the Stanley Cup, and we're all competitors and we want to win. So it's tough when it's not going your way, but I was really proud of the way we finished out the season. I think since the deadline we were above 500, and that's an easy time to just say, hey, we're not going to make playoffs. It is what it is. Let's just mail it in. And I got a lot of respect for the guys in our locker room and the way we competed throughout the end of the season. And I think it showed a lot of character. But yeah, obviously disappointed to not make playoffs. And I think I said it last year, but same kind of thing this year. We're going to hopefully use that as fuel this summer and come back ready to go next season.
Joey, what does the summer look like for you? I mean, you played a big chunk of games
Yeah.
this year. How much time is recovery and then getting back to work?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of recovery focus for me. Going through the season, I was relatively healthy, knock on wood, knock on that head, throughout most of the year. But yeah, it's inevitable that you're not going to feel great towards the end of the season. And priority number one is just getting the body feeling good, and then after that we'll be laying a base in the weight room for next season so that I can handle the load of 50 to 60 games again. And I think, the fact the last 2 years I've stayed pretty healthy and played over 100 games the last 2 seasons means I'm probably doing a pretty good job with my preseason prep in the weight room. So pretty much stay the same in that regard and maybe just tweak it a little bit based on my summer goals. And then, towards the end of the summer, hop back on the ice and start getting back in the swing of things. I think it's important to take a break away from the ice, more mentally than anything. It's an absolute pleasure to play in the NHL every single night. Like I was thinking about it last night during the game. I was getting sad during the game, looking up and looking around during the game and seeing all the fans and looking up in the stands. And there's nothing like it in the world. It's the absolute best. But it is a mental grind, especially being a goalie and knowing that the game basically hangs on you every single night. And it's important to take that break mentally away from the ice. So I'll be doing that, but towards the end of the summer, ramping back up on the ice and getting ready to go for the season.
Are Worlds a possibility for you? Do you know yet? Or is that something you're considering or not?
Yeah, it's a possibility. We'll see, I guess. This is the best way I can put it.
2 questions, please. First of all, is there such a thing to a goalie as too much work?
Yeah, I think there's for anybody a point of diminishing return, right? I think for myself personally, I treat it as a privilege and an honor that the coaches and players and management want me out there every single night. And I love it. I love to play. I love to be with the guys. I honestly wish I could play every game because it's for me, it's like I'm suiting up for battle with them every single night, and I want them to know that I got them every single night, and I'm going to go out there, and some nights it's not going to go my way, but I'm going to leave everything I have out on the ice and compete as hard as I possibly can for them. And some nights even knowing, hey, I've played 14 out of the last 15 games, I got nothing in the tank, but I'm still going to suit up with them and give it everything I got tonight and leave it all out on the ice. I think that's really important. So for me, yeah, I just love to be out there with the guys.
And the other thing is, and this really impressed me, and it wasn't about your play and goal, but the game is over. You lose the game, the season's over, and you've given up 6 goals, and yet you're still out there applauding the fans. And I thought that was really above and beyond what a player is expected to do, and I wanted to know why and how you're able to do that.
Yeah. If I'm being totally honest, it means a lot to me, the support that I get from the fans here. I've been fortunate enough to be supported incredibly everywhere I've gone, everywhere I've played, but nothing really comes close to Seattle and the way the fans support our team and myself. And at the end of the day, they're what drive us. You know, they are there every single game to support us, home and away. We see them all over the country, all over Canada. We see them everywhere. And yeah, obviously last night's game was not the best, and it is what it is, but I didn't want to let that one game diminish a whole season. And the way they've supported me throughout, I've been with Seattle 4 years now, and especially the last 2 years where I've been here for the full season. I didn't want to let that kind of diminish anything. And yeah, I just think it's really important to acknowledge and be grateful for the support that they give me every single night. And I think as a guy who made the NHL a little bit older, it took me a long time to get here. I think it makes me really appreciate and be grateful for the fact that I get to do what I love in the coolest setting ever, every single night. And the facilities we have, the organization we have, the people in our organization. I mean, Climate Pledge Arena is world class, and in my opinion, the best place to play in the league. And yeah, just to go out there every single night. Like I was honestly, I was just sad. I was just sad, and obviously thrilled to be on a long-term extension and know I'm going to be here for a while. But I was sad that it was over last night, and getting undressed, I was already looking forward to being back next season. And yeah, I kind of take that from soccer, honestly. Soccer, they clap the fans after the games, and I think that's something that's really important. Like even after any regular win, I always make sure to go salute the fans, because like I said, they're what motivate us. They're who we play for, and the way they support me, they deserve it and they earn it. And even last night, it was after my 6th goal, and I made a couple saves, and the fans were going nuts for me to cheer for me, and that truly meant the world to me.
Well, you rose to the occasion, and it was impressive.
Thank you.
Hey, Joey, one of my favorite behind the scenes this year is watching you help Nicky pack his bags for the road trip. You've seen 3 guys come through that had that first experience. What was that like? Would you talk to those guys about that?
It was really cool for me because I've always kind of been on the other side of that. So to be the older guy and have some young guys come up was really cool. And I said to all of them, I was like, hey, you got any questions? You let me know. Like, I remember coming up and I just was kind of eyes wide open and trying to take it all in. And you don't really know anything, even as silly as, hey, what time are the meetings? Hey, what time does coach come in and talk to us? Hey, what time do we go on the ice for warm-ups? Like, I had all these questions, and I just wanted to know that no question was a bad question, and I was going to be there to help them out with whatever they needed, because I think that's something that's really important. And Stez, Coco, Aussie, they're all great people, and just really good goalies, and it was fun to get to I very much enjoyed being their mentor and helping them out with whatever they needed. And yeah, that was a really cool experience for me. And yeah.
One quick follow-up. Coco's going to get a chance to pretty much be the #1 during the playoffs. I know you've talked about how that helped you a lot to prepare for the next step.
Playoff hockey is huge at any level. It's because the games are very important and they mean a lot, and it's pretty much life and death. And I think you learn a lot about yourself as a goalie, and it pushes you to be better because your team's relying on you. So that's a good opportunity for him to get some games. Is Stez hurt? I think Stezy's out, right? Yeah. So Coco's going to get to play, and I think it'll be a good learning experience for him. And playoffs are life and death, and yeah, it'll be good for him.
Joey, kind of piggybacking off of Glenn's question from before, ever since you got here, so personable with the media, kind of like the face of the franchise. What, growing up or, through minor hockey kind of led you to that point? I mean, or was it truly, just as you said, Seattle and the Kraken have just been great to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's elements of both sides of that. I mean, I think most people that met me when I was a kid would tell you I had a lot of personality. So that's nothing really that's new. I think like we, as hockey players, and the position we're in, and what we get to do with our lives, and the life that we get to live, I think it's an obligation for us to try to give back to the community and the fans, and that's why I try to make a point to do whatever I can in the community, whether that's going out with the junior Kraken for practice or making a visit to a hospital or whatever. And I think that's really important for us. And I think the sports world is kind of trending. I think hockey's a little bit slower on that path of engaging kind of more in the community and fans and being more personal with the fans than some other sports, and I think you're starting to see that get better. But I think just being personal with the fans, showing some personality, showing who you are, I think the fans really appreciate that. And even with like my social media stuff, just trying to give them a little bit of a insight, to who I am and the kind of person I am, and I think that goes a long way. And I think its impact is exponentially increased by having the support that I've gotten here in Seattle and from Kraken fans. Everywhere I go, people come up to me, and most of the time they just say, "Hell yeah, Joey," or give me a fist bump and keep walking. Like, they're like, "Hey, he probably doesn't want to go talk to a million people on his afternoon off, but they still want to say, hey, we appreciate you." And I was walking at Pike Place a couple weeks ago, and someone just stopped me and just said, "Hey, we appreciate you, and you're the reason we kept coming back," and said, "Have a good day," and kept going. And to me, that was the coolest thing ever. And I feel very grateful to be supported the way I am here. So, like I said before, it means the world to me, and I feel very blessed and grateful to be supported like I am here.
Joey, in your view, what does this team need to do to get where you want to go?
I think it's not. Obviously, we missed playoffs, but it's not as big of a fix as it may seem. I think we have a clear blueprint for how we need to play to be successful, and I think we found that a little bit more consistently towards the end of the season. And I think it's just sticking to that method and that game plan, just with everything we have, right? Because once you veer off that, then it kind of becomes maybe some individuals. It's like a team playing together versus a bunch of individuals that are on the ice at the same time. And that's not a knock on anyone on our team. It just kind of happens. And when you start losing, it's easier for that to happen. So if we can stick together and maintain that identity, I think that's going to be really important for us moving forward. And the other thing too is the NHL is such it's like a momentum and confidence-based league at every position, at every team. Like, once you start kind of, like, we started off not so great, and then you start kind of losing, and it becomes such an uphill battle, and then it's like, if we had won a couple more games in the first half of the year, maybe we think we're a better team, and then we just keep playing better, right? Like, it's so much of it is confidence based, and then once we fall 6, 8, 10 points out of playoffs, like, oh, well, maybe we're not a playoff team, and then the confidence goes down. I really don't think it's as much of a big fix as maybe it may seem on the outside. I really believe in our group. We have so many good pieces. We have such a good culture in our locker room. We have so many amazing people on our team and in our staff, and yeah, I think it's just, I mean, and honestly, you look at it too, like Maddie and Shane are going to be an unbelievable 1-2 punch down the middle for a long time. Those kids are still so young, and they're going to be great players for us, and we do have a really solid core here, so I'm excited for the future. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well, given the fact this is never an easy day for something like this, and a lot few ups and downs, so where are you at right now with the sense of where this team is at mentally and where they want to head for this next off season and the year beyond it?
I'll say disappointed, almost to a man, having conversations with all the guys today. But also hopeful. I think the year-end evaluation, this group had a goal set out for itself, and we didn't achieve that goal, and hence the disappointment, and each and every one of us culpability in that disappointment. But I think talk about the success of this team in year 2. To each and every man, so I've heard and so they've told me, came back with a chip on their shoulder with that disappointment and back for the second year and needing and wanting something to prove. And I think the hopefulness part of the conversation with the coaching staff and with the players is we've referenced it, the way we played the last 19 games, wasn't necessarily perfect in all regards, but the way we played on the ice, the way we played for each other is how we want to do it, and evidence that it can be successful if we all buy in. And I think overall, the 82 games, I'm going to talk about consistency of putting that on the ice, and that's where we fell short. And just having a chip on our shoulder and coming back next year with the energy and the commitment to do it for 180 days, 82 games.
Where did you find the challenges of managing some of those ups and downs, and then with, in the last recent stretch, which parts of this team trying to grow that more of a chip on the shoulder approach that each with more understanding of what they can do this next season?
I think we had goals as a team, as a group in there to win a certain number of hockey games. My goal as a coach, I think, was to galvanize this team and come together both an identity and a consistency of which we do it each and every day. And evaluating, that from a coaching staff perspective, we didn't get that. We weren't able to grow this team into that that every night, that consistent identity of a group. And I take a little bit of pride in the last 19 games in doing so. I think, I would have loved to win the last game and say we're 10-7 over the 10-7-2 over the last 19, and that's playoff hockey. So I'm gonna take the last 19 games and say that's, both to the guys, to the group, from the group to the fans and to the National Hockey League, that's who we can be, and that's what we got to be for 182 games or 182 games next season.
Dan, how do you structure your exit interviews with these guys? Not necessarily what you said, but how do you approach it? Do you have 15 or 20 minutes with each guy?
Well, we're having a conversation this late in the afternoon because they didn't last 15 minutes. But talk to the players individually, from a coaching staff to the players, and for most of the conversations, they're not the first time we've had the conversations about their year, our team, the direction, and so a few of the conversations, especially with the leaders of our team, they're just an extended conversation of their situation, our team situation, and so they're 15-minute increments of time with every one of them, but as those conversations they've been happening over the year as well.
Dan, you knew a lot of these guys, a few of these guys at least before this season. You knew some of them from a distance. How much of this season was spent getting to know the kind of guys you want to go to battle with, and the kind of guys, and you think you have the guys you want to go to battle with right now, or would you like to see? How do you feel about it?
I think, a lot of learning and a lot of happened this year for sure. I think I thought I had an idea of some of the individuals in the team, but that certainly was a part of the growth and development this year, is the guys getting to know me, me getting to know the guys, the dynamic of the group and the team, and that's got to continue to grow here in the future going forward. I think it doesn't really, you can't look externally, I'll say, for it to get better. We have to get it within the group that we have and the group that's out there, and I think some of that is growth and development from year to year from a player, and maturity, and Matty Beniers' growth and development this year has to be carried into next year, and Shane Wright. Those aspects give hope to where we're going, but it doesn't need, this 82 games doesn't need to be it has to be now, but we can't just go into the next 82 with it being a learning environment and getting used to each other. We've done that now, and we got to hit the ground running next year.
When you look at the on-ice product from the season, what are some of the areas that you kind of scratch your head about not being where you want it to be, whether it might be power play or some specific defensive things here? Is there anything that kind of comes to your mind that are areas that you looked at and kind of focus on?
Well, consistency and is going to be a big one. I think I'll just say it, our team play, and we talk a lot about being connected. We talked a lot about playing as 5-man units, and that's offensively and defensively, and we didn't have enough consistency in that regard. I think the messaging has to continue, and I think some of the things, like we obviously we didn't keep the puck out of the net enough. I think we scored enough to be an effective team. We didn't keep the puck out of the net to be to be a winning hockey team throughout this year. I think that there wasn't a change in structure, but there was something that needs to be addressed. But really, the consistency of which we do it each and every night is how we're going to have success. And the numbers over the last 19 games, we talked about how the team played, but the numbers have changed, in a lot of aspects of how our team played, and the analytics of them have changed, and to the guys in the room and to the fans in the world, those things need to continue to be at the level they are the last 19 games for us to be a successful team.
On paper,
at the trade deadline, it appeared that you guys actually lost some really key contributors there. So obviously you've talked a lot about the team playing better after the trade deadline. Why do you think that is, that things went better after that, after losing some kind of key players?
You know, it's a good question. And I'll let you contemplate the answer.
Can you let us know which of you guys are going to the World Championships?
I'm not sure those guys know yet. So the World Championship aren't really allowed to talk to your players before the end of the season. And so they're finding out just now, today and the next few days, about who's going and who's not going to the World Championships. But we have a number of players that are going to be notified here in the next couple of days. So I'll let them find out first from their respective organizations. So, but I think, we have some Finns, some Swedes. We have some other, I think the German team will benefit. Team USA, I think, will benefit from a few of our players. So, but it's coming in the next few days. So.
You talk about learning about the guys in the room, coming in, seeing them from the outside, which is what they're really like. It's been a while since you've held a head coaching position in the NHL, and I'm sure you and the league have changed since then. So what's maybe the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself as a coach and as a person over these last 32 games?
Wow, ask me this one tomorrow. Give me a little bit more time. I think managing the team and the personalities. I don't think it's changed, but it's critically important to the success of the team. Is getting the team and the individual players on the same page and pulling in the same direction, and with a unified mindset, identity. That's going to be huge going forward for our team and this group of guys. And that's, when I talk about evaluation of the year and saying inconsistent, that's not something I take very easily, because that's the job of the coach. And I think we made some strides, but I think clearly that's where both this team and me as a coach have to improve for this team to have success next year.
What's been the highlight of the season for you?
They're personal highlights for me, because they might not necessarily show up as the 35 wins that we had, but I think there have been a few particular moments where the group has realized and started to spawn the belief that if we play a certain way and we play together, we can beat anybody at any given time. And we've had some, Carolina is probably one of those games. And there are a few other ones. But they only provide belief and hope for this team and for me in the future going forward.
How much input will you give, or how much input have you given in terms of personnel, like where you want to see the team upgraded? Are you very involved in those conversations?
I think I think this is where Ron is very good at identifying those areas of the team, both growth from development and draft picks and development of those players in our organization, and identifying, what the team needs, maybe from, the free agent market or. So we've had the conversations, we've talked about those things, and I have some input for sure, but I think Ron has a real clear and distinct idea where the team needs to go and how it's going to get better, and we'll see that happen.
Dan, what's it meant for you to wake up and coach in this town so far through 82 games?
I think maybe the biggest surprise here in Seattle is just how great our fans are. I think they're Seattle and Seattle sports have some notoriety about the fan base and how great of the fans they are, and for football, and I couldn't say enough about the fan base here, the enthusiasm for our team, and they're blown away by it, and I just want it to continue.
What's kind of your end of season opinion on Kako and the line that you had on most of the season?
I think that evaluation just goes to how much of a difference and different kind of player he was immediately when he got here. I think being a possession guy, being a guy who can hang on to the puck in the offensive zone and establish those own time, I think Matty's game really was his best when he was playing with Kako there for especially the January, February time frame. And I think it's drastic because he's a player we didn't have. Just a big-bodied, again, offensive zone guy, make plays, hold on to the puck, and be a force in the offensive zone. I think, talk about some of the numbers in the dressing room with the guys about what we want to be and how we want to play and what that means to produce. At the end of the year in the last 19 games, our O-zone possession time went up to 4th in the league, and Kako is a big part of that.
Dan, what have you kind of made of Vince's year? He said, he felt it was decent, but with his role, decent isn't good enough, and he was pretty disappointed in his year. What did you kind of make of how he kind of played this year for you? Obviously, he had some injuries to deal with, but kind of as a whole, what his season was for you?
I think him being out, the injury, especially early on in the season, you saw really when he came back, it's accented what he can bring to the team. I think from almost to a man in that room, I think we all feel the same way about our years. It was, individually, how was my year? It was okay. It was good, but not good enough. And, I think Vince can be a driver on our power play, can be a driver offensively for, back on the back end from us from both a puck moving standpoint, but a facilitator offensively. And, he did a good job of that. I think his expectation and my expectation is it can be better.
Guys, we're going to wrap up here, so Dan can finish up with Beniers, if that's okay. Any other last final questions?
Big summer plans, Dan?
Too many. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.